Hey, folks, Billboard chart guy back and thrilled to have my second international guest on the show, the one and only Jackson from Australia, who's having a whirlwind weekend with the CEO of the Minifan Network. Jackson, thank you for joining me.
Yes, thank you, Bill. I'm very happy to be here. I'll tell you what, I did see Menes last night, but I did message him a few times. I said I've booked in with Bill, so I think we're gonna have to cancel. But I did manage to do both, so I know where my priorities lie. As I've told you before, this is my favorite podcast. All right, so
Oh my gosh.
Menace can be a pain in the ass all he wants, but I'm gonna yes, I wasn't bailing on this, so let's
Oh,
go.
well, thank you very much. Very kind. Let me ask you your first question because I saw you this morning on with Menners, and I noticed you were wearing a Houston Astros hat.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
has anyone ever told you that you look exactly like Randy Johnson?
Yes, all the time.
All the time. Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I actually play as a pitcher on a team as well. So I've been
Oh,
doing that for
okay.
the last few years, and I get that from them as well.
So,
Um, I
so
can't quite throw as hard though.
okay. Yeah, I would imagine you haven't killed a pigeon or anything flying
No,
by. No, no.
no.
Okay.
I've hit other things, batters and stuff, but that's
Right.
yeah, yeah, that's about it.
um, and actually, my dentist. All right, so we're crossing worlds here, but my dentist went to high school and played on the team with Randy Johnson. So 7 degrees of separation between me and Randy Johnson, Hall of Famer Randy Johnson.
Well, you're a Yankees guy, I'm gonna say.
Yes, I am. Yes,
Yeah,
I am.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic. Well, that's a great thing. I mean, but just because of Kirk, the only thing I really care about in baseball in terms of an enemy is the Red Sox. So I think we can shake hands on that one. That's really the
Absolutely.
only thing I care about in terms of hatred. So
um, so I know Menners is in Sydney. Where are you in Australia?
I'm down in Melbourne, so
Okay. So
just
how
another
far is that?
about 10-hour drive. Yeah, so I
An
think it
hour
took me
drive.
about an hour and a half to get down here. Yeah, so it's nice and easy.
Okay.
Um, Yeah, yeah.
Good.
The good thing about Melbourne and Sydney, it is if a band is going to come here and tour, they are absolutely coming here. There is no doubt about it. So
Yeah. I also
that's the
noticed
great thing about where I am.
they also go to Brisbane, right? A
Yep.
lot of groups. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and Adelaide, and then it's pretty much if you're mid tier, not too famous over here, you'll come to those three, and then
Mhm.
you're lucky if you get anything else. So we're in a hotbed here. We got a great venues. Yeah, good opportunity down here.
Um, I also wanted, before we got too deep here, I wanted, and Menners actually said it when I had him on the show, but you kind of DM me on the side and said, check out Odyssey #5 by Powderfinger.
Yeah, how'd you
That's
go?
a, yeah, I love that album.
Yes.
It is tremendous. And that song "Waiting for the Sun" is
Oh yeah.
quickly a favorite. Yeah. So, thank you for the recommendation. I think I'm going to jump into the Internationalist next.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I want to listen to this album next. Yeah, I'm looking at the track list now. The meter is my favorite. Just when it breaks down and the strings come in. Um, My happiness. Yeah, that's a great. Let me tell you another one as well. Have you ever tried any Silverchair?
So I just remember, what was it, like 95, 96? They had a
Here
hit
we
that
go.
crossed over here. What was that? Yeah, I mean, he sounds like they sounded like Nirvana in that song. Was it Fat Boy? What was that song?
Tomorrow.
What was it?
Tomorrow by yeah. I'm trying to remember how exactly how that goes. I can play it in the background. Hang on. Yeah, no. Yeah. God, I can't remember the exact. You can't play sound, can you? But
No, I
yes,
can't.
tomorrow. Do you know? So that song. You know how old they were when that came out?
They were like teenagers, right?
Yeah. So they wrote that song. I think at 13 or 14. It was basically. Were you in a band in school?
I played in like jazz band. I played trumpet. I
Yes,
wasn't in a
actually,
real
yes.
band.
You've
Yeah,
mentioned that. So not
yeah.
like not
Not a
when you get the boys together and it's like, all right, well, let's see how this guitar sounds. So
right.
I mean, I think they were together for a couple months. They've written this song. They've joined a local radio's competition, and next minute they're the biggest thing we've got. And I think that was what Nirvana really did for like a lot of bands. in that era,
Yes.
like 94. Every teenager wanted to do exactly that.
Yeah,
And
that was
somehow
95, right? That came out in 95.
95, yes, yes, exactly. And yeah, they were popping off right at that time. But yeah,
Mhm.
so give them a crack because they had like 4 albums out by the time they were like 21, and it's kind of the songwriting. You just go, damn, like how's that even possible at that age?
I know. It's amazing. I definitely will. And after speaking with Menners, I also got into a crowded house jag as well. And
Yes.
they've been in and out of my rotation since I spoke with him. I love those guys. Chocolate Cake and Been Locked Out, and of course, some of the older songs, Don't Dream It's Over and whatnot. Love those guys. So, have you ever been to the States?
No, I have not.
You have
No,
not.
no, I
Okay.
would absolutely love to.
I was wondering if you had seen any shows. What about other countries? Have you seen other shows anywhere else besides Australia?
No, is that like you asked that like I absolutely should?
I just find that, people outside of the States seem to, hop around the world a little more than we do here. So I just thought that might be a thing.
Interesting. Yeah, that would make sense here in terms of like the flight here is like 17 hours. So it is difficult to get like I can't just go see like a random sort of band that costs 40, $50 here that's from the States, like a nice little country band or like a sort of local outfit. It's really hard to do that. And so the only really things we're getting is the big boys that are costing $300 kind of thing. So it is a lot harder to go out and see. So I would understand why you'd be like, screw it, like let's go to Europe for the however long, and we'll go to these festivals, and we're gonna, like Reading and Leeds festivals or Glastonbury, and screw it, let's go see like all this stuff that we can't possibly get. Because
Right.
and also I think that like I should really be a homer, but I just think like the local stuff of Britain and America I think's better personally,
Hmm.
and so that's why I would want to come over.
Tell me, I actually had this on my list to ask you. Can you give me five American bands that you enjoy their work?
Yeah, sure. Let me have a suss real quick through. I mean, really, all of my music taste has, I think, like most people, it really kind of ends when you're sort of become an adult, and I think people sort of get stubborn in what they listen to, and I don't really feel like I've gotten into a lot of stuff really since I was like 21. I don't know if you are exactly the same, but like really everything like Nirvana, Metallica, all that stuff I was playing on guitar as a teenager, like that's really Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
Um, God, now that I'm looking through it though, it's a lot of British stuff. Muse,
You know,
Arctic Monkeys,
yeah. Quite a few people.
Blur and Oasis. Sorry, yeah, go on.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I was going to say quite a few of my guests, I think three or four of you guys have mentioned Muse, and I wouldn't know them if I bumped into them right now. So I need to check them out too.
Yeah, okay. God, Muse have some of my favorite albums. Origin of Symmetry. Um, yeah, give that a sus. But you know what sucks is I think it was 2009. They're on their Uprising tour. I just at the time I was a musical snob in terms of like synths and stuff. So there's not like I couldn't listen to any 80s music, anything that had any instrument that wasn't what I thought was real, like electronic drum kits, anything like that. And so Muse being so electronic, I was like, oh, there's no way I'm getting into this band. So I turned down seeing them live, and a lot of people
Mhm.
regard them as the best live band you'll ever see.
Yeah, that's what I've been led to
Yeah.
believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, you mentioned Oasis, Jackson. Are
Oh yeah.
you primed for this reunion, or do they have shows scheduled to come down by you?
I think they do. I have not looked into the tour because I really should, but there's I just don't know if it'll be worth all the like. With Oasis, they're a couple of definitely maybe. And What's the Story was really for me just that, and I think they just have so much crap.
Yeah.
And I don't know if like I'm much more a Blur guy. So if Blur's coming here right now, I'm in. Oasis, I'm not so much the guy, you know.
Okay.
Um, and
Well,
also when it was basically when the tour was announced, I was like, there is no way that they are coming here. Like it's going to be in like 18 months, and they're going to have the biggest blow up.
yeah, that's what's the over under of them of this tour ending. They actually are playing 3 nights in Melbourne, October 31st, November 1st, and November 4th, and 2 nights in Sydney, the 7th and 8th
They'll
of
make that.
November.
That's only
Yeah,
3 months away, right? Yeah, they'll be fine. They'll be fine.
they should make it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I actually agree with you. Those first two, those were the first 2 albums, right? Definitely,
yes,
maybe. Yeah,
yeah. I think it was
and,
Be Here Now after that.
yeah, and maybe there was a song or two on that one that I liked, but I kind of got tired of the whole act, and Liam with his rock star.
Generic,
Yeah,
generic.
yeah,
All the songs sound the same. They're trying to be the Beatles. He's going out with
right.
his British flag guitar, and
Hmm.
it just felt like a total rip off from the haircuts and everything. And then like the other night, I'm watching Blur at Wembley from 2 years ago,
Hmm.
and they're just unbelievable. They just move with the times. Like they're not. There's nothing fake. I don't know if you're a Blur guy.
Just a couple of songs, not really a big
Okay.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, so like Park Life for me was really seminal when I was a teenager. That's
Mhm.
an
How
all-time
old?
album.
How old are you, Jackson?
I am 32, so
Okay.
I think I fall more in the middle of the people more in the Steve from Gloucester, 48, and then you've got the Coleman who's 20
20.
whatever the hell. Yeah, so I think there's like a real because I was thinking about this like just from everything from like the way that you sort of you would have grown up with music and digested it and bought it, acquired it and all this sort of stuff. And then even just the way Coleman would have grown up and used Spotify and all this sort of thing. Like would Coleman own a CD or a tape or anything kind of thing,
Yeah.
And then I was just thinking about that earlier. And then I guess you probably haven't spoken to anyone that's sort of grown up in the LimeWire era and going on Pirate Bay and torrenting and
No,
and all this stuff and
I don't know what you're talking about.
and tubs of and burning CDs and all that kind of crap.
Right, but you're absolutely right. I mean, think about it. Today in the States, the and I know you're not the biggest fan, but Bruce released the 7 album, tracks 2 collection, and it was, I woke up this morning and it was all on my phone. I hit
Have a look.
shuffle, and I took a listen. I'm not spending, $350 for a box set because I kind of consume all my music on my phone or when I'm driving. It's completely different time, but 40 years ago, you'd be standing in line at a record store waiting for 1984 to come out, or Synchronicity, or the
Right.
Joshua Tree, whatever it was. You needed to have it that first day. So it's completely different.
A real music snob would say though that Spotify and Apple and all it's very compressed. It's not very high quality. You should
Yes.
still go out and get those formats. But
Uh,
yeah, I guess what I was kind of getting at is I was kind of the last of a dying breed, I think, because I was doing what you were describing, except with CDs.
right.
Like
Mhm.
like you're catching the bus at 14 to the record store and grabbing the CD on the day out, skipping school to do stuff like this and all that kind of crap. Like, yeah, that's dead for sure. For
Right.
sure. And then I hit a point where I was like, I don't know, 16, whatever, and working on my McDonald's, 8 hours a week and making my $40 or whatever the hell it was. And I can't afford this. And my friends are like, you can just download all this stuff on the internet for free, right? And as and morally, as somebody who's in my own band and has lofty dreams, and I'm like, morally, how do you, you know?
Mhm.
But did I do it? Yeah, I mean that's what we did.
Yeah, and it's a similar story to purchasing tickets. Like, you used to have to go line up, and you'd be around the block
True.
waiting, and whether it was a clothing store like Macy's, or Ticketmaster had, or Ticketron before Ticketmaster had like outlets, and you would line up, and now it's a race to log in quicker than anybody else to try to sit in the queue and hopefully get a ticket at a reasonable price.
Yeah, and spend $50 in fees on top of that. How great are they, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean
Exactly.
it's a
So tell me, you're in a band?
God no, not
Oh,
now.
okay.
I
Oh, you
used to be.
were. Okay.
Yeah, oh, yeah. As a teenager, I got some incriminating photos I can send you later.
Oh,
Me with like a Justin Bieber hairstyle being front man.
oh my.
Um,
Okay. Did you guys write your own songs, or were you doing covers?
no, we wrote our own songs, and then we would because everybody had their own style of music, and so it was very strange. So like the drummer and I were very much Nirvana, Pink Floyd, like
Hmm.
The Doors, Hendrix. Very
Right.
we're all like, yeah, man, like we write 8 minute trippy songs, that have breakdowns and this and that. And then our guitarist was a metalhead, like Dio and
Hmm.
who's the Iron Maiden,
Right.
Van Halen. This is our guitarist, right? The long hair
Hmm.
and he'd paint his nails and all that. So we basically wrote metal riffs with funky. Oh, because we're all Chili Peppers guys as well. Sorry, I left that out before. Chili
Yeah.
Peppers was like my greatest band when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
So we're all like, what? We're all stoner hippie funk guys. That was our thing, and we're gonna make Faith No More kind of metal songs. And so we'd go play
Mm.
gigs and basically play like 4 original songs, and then we'd play, Comfortably Numb or whatever the hell.
What was
Just
what was the name of your band?
not appropriate. We were called Songs for Dwarves. We had a song called Dwarven Grip. We had a song. We had a song called Bermuda. It was very random. Me and the drummer shared vocals. We played gigs. Like so, my dad is still in a band.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, which is not a great thing. If you know anything about like aging, musicians, they're
I know
you
about
know
aging. I
yeah,
know about
yeah,
music.
touring and getting hammered and the women and all that sort of stuff. So,
Right.
but he was very handy in terms of if we wanted gigs. So being sort of 17, 18 and getting into bars underage and getting free drinks and playing gigs was pretty fun. We played some birthday parties and stuff. Um, but yeah, yeah.
And how did the band dissolve?
Uh, well, listen, when you're like everybody sort of decides that they need to be serious.
Right.
Everybody's going to college and university and you kind of look at each other and go, maybe we're actually not great. You know, you know
Right.
what I mean? Like there were too many gigs. There were too many gigs where because I also played a keyboard, organ, and those things they don't go out of tune if you know anything about that. Whereas
Hmm.
other instruments sure can, and too many gigs where an E string on a guitar was out of tune for an entire song, and and just catching the train home at 1 a.m. from you know just thinking, what am I doing? There's a lot
Right.
of that,
Hmm.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, oh, yeah.
Um, that's wild though. That's very cool. What was your first concert you attended, Jackson? What was
You
one of your
you
big big shows?
well you big shows and my first I guess my first concert was a very big show. You'd bloody never guess. I think I was 11 at the time, and my music taste hasn't quite formed yet. So my mother was like, "Would you want to go see Enrique Iglesias?"
Oh my, right.
Which I actually I thought about this the other day and I looked it up. It was the Seven tour. I think it was like June or something of 2004. So I went and saw Enrique Iglesias because I really like the song Hero.
Okay.
That's
Wow. Okay.
that. Yeah. So anyway, so then we put music on retirement until I actually got into it myself. I know. I'm sorry. I was like the only little boy there amongst like 40-year-old women and maybe a couple of tennis fans. But then in 2008, I saw my first, probably favorite band, Coldplay, on their Viva La Vida tour, and that was
Okay.
absolutely incredible. They are incredible. Um, yeah, I love Coldplay. I don't know what your thoughts there.
I've struggled with them. I don't know if him being married to Gwyneth Paltrow bothers me. It's a little,
What the
too
what? Because
much
she's
of the
selling,
rock stuff.
yeah,
Yeah,
she's
right,
selling vagina spray fragrance or whatever the
right.
hell.
Well, this was before she was doing that. They just, I've never got it with them, if you know what I mean. It's,
Interesting.
yeah, I know how big they are, and I know, they're playing, they pretty much exclusively play stadiums at this point, but
Oh
it's
yeah,
never been for me. So you've been with them kind of since the beginning, or did you jump on the train?
absolutely. No,
Yeah,
they were
okay.
like a first hit. So I'm just looking. Their first album came out when I was 8, and they are like a very entry level music. Yeah, especially like they're really well. I guess it is all kind of entry level music. So that probably makes sense. It's probably very generational. Like because I listen to probably their last couple albums, and I go, oh, I don't get all the it's just pop music for kids, I
Right.
guess. So that
Mhm.
totally makes sense. Their early music is more bluesy and they do definitely go across genres, but
If
yeah,
if if you were going to recommend me one album of theirs to kind of get a vibe of that band, what would it be?
it would be A Rush of Blood to the Head, which is their second album. It's one of my favorite albums of all time. Just
Okay.
every song back to back. I have to pull up the track list, but yeah, it is. That's the one with what do we got here? In My Place, In My Place. God Put a Smile on Your Face. The
Maybe.
Scientists.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
you'd know a handful of these songs.
Okay.
God,
All
they
right.
were good. They were very, very good. Yeah, can't talk highly enough. Their first
Oh,
at that point, it was their first 4 albums. But yes,
okay. And current makeup of that band, are they still the original members still in the band, or
I'm
have they
sure they
split?
are. I'm sure they are. But again, kind of like what I said earlier, I have no idea. Like my favorite bands, a lot of these guys, like what they've done in the last few years, I would have no idea. To be
Right.
totally honest, like
Yeah.
it's hard. Like if you're gonna say, "Hey, I'm a Beach Boys fan," like are you a big fan of their 2007 album kind of thing, or are you more of a fan of the 60s and the 70s? It's kind of
Yes.
like that.
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
I'm a big Coldplay fan, but will I ever really listen to them? You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Well,
I
this.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah. It's okay. This goes back to kind of like an overriding theme of this is like the music of the 70s and the 80s. It just doesn't compare the now to then. It's just such a different vibe, and those artists have had the staying power where it's to be determined, I guess, with some of the younger bands. But
Interesting.
I'm not. And I shared with you that I love the Hold Steady. They're quote unquote a new band for me, but
Yeah.
they started in 2004, and I just came upon them about 10 or 11 years ago. But that's like the newest band that I've kind of stuck with and dug into. But I mean, in the rest of my life, whether it's Bruce or I'm listening to the Dead or the band or Aria, I'm stuck in 1975.
It is. My first instinct was to take a shot at you for your age. Like I wanted to be like, no, you're just an old man take. But you are right. Like like the Stones and all these guys, like they have the staying power. I'd be curious if my favorite bands of my era like that, like Kings of Leon, like
Right.
are we still going to be talking about them as a massive band in 25 years? Probably not. You know,
Yeah.
we're already not.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
don't know.
you
Yeah,
think about those bands from the early 2000s, whether it's the Strokes or the Killers. I mean, the Killers are still very
love them.
popular.
Love the
Uh,
Strokes.
but go back 10 years. I mean, it's like Pearl Jam, it's Foo Fighters, and it's the Chili Peppers are still out there. But who else? It's
Yeah, yeah, yes. Yeah. But when did that end then? There's got to be like because the Chili Peppers are a '90s band, right?
yeah, late
Now we're
80s.
naming 90s bands. It's an interesting. It's like they all died with the CD. You know.
Yeah, I mean, to me, like, and I've said this before, like classic rock to me goes up to Nevermind. That's, whether it's 66 or, whether you go back to Dylan and then go all the way through Nirvana. To me, that's classic rock, and
Right.
everything else after that is something else. Uh, and there's a lot of good stuff, but it doesn't resonate with me but again, I'm also 60 years old, so
Yeah, yeah.
maybe it shouldn't resonate with me. And my son, who's 21, tells me about this band and that band. He actually likes Tame Impala. One
Okay,
of
I
your
love them. I've seen
Yeah,
them like 4 times.
yeah. So he and I've heard he plays it for me, and it's interesting, and a lot of the songs are very enjoyable. But I mean, am I rushing out to see Tame Impala? No.
You actually definitely should. They are,
Yeah.
especially live. They're yeah, they're incredible.
All right.
Um,
Um,
yeah, but
what was so you talked about Enrique Iglesias. What was their most recent concert? I might actually put that in the when I tweet
oh,
out.
go nuts.
Let's talk
Yeah,
about Enrique
yeah.
Iglesias. Who's your most recent concert you've seen?
Uh, I've seen a lot of in the last few years. I've seen a lot of small. I've been to a few jazz shows. I've been to a few local bands where a few bands play. So I'm not going to count any of that. I'd say the last big thing would have been Queens of the Stone Age.
Okay.
Um, I want to say 2019. So quite a while ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Since COVID, I've really not done big gigs. Really, I don't even
Right.
look into them. I like to do local things. Um, I don't know.
My
I just something about the
Yeah.
vibe of it.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And to support the local venues and local bands, it makes total sense. My wife would kill me if I did not ask you your thoughts on her favorite Australian artist, who is
All
Keith Urban.
right. I have absolutely nothing,
Not you,
nothing at
you
all.
got
So,
nothing from it.
well, I have questions for you because you're a big music guy. What are
Okay,
your thoughts on her favorite artist being Keith Urban? Or is it her favorite Australian artist? Sorry. Okay, that
it's
makes
her
more sense.
favorite Australian artist. Her favorite artist is Mellencamp.
Okay, all right. See that lines up. I've tried a couple of his songs and I did not get it. So I was like it's I like country music,
Hmm.
but I like real country music, not pop, not the poppy stuff. If that makes
Right.
sense. I think that makes sense to you. And Keith is
Well,
very the
Poppy.
poppy
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, yeah, and also the fake American accent. It confuses me.
Yeah, the whole thing. He is a good guitar player, though. I will tell you
Sure.
that.
Yes.
I've seen him. I've gone to see him twice, and he is a very good guitar player. And I've had this conversation with my wife, but like somebody like Keith Urban would be kind of or let me reverse it. If you think of like the early Eagles, and if they were out now, they'd be pigeonholed in the country
Oh
kind of
God.
genre. Whereas in 1972, all you had in the Billboard charts, like Jackson 5, the
Sure.
Spinners, the Eagles, whoever, name your classic rock band. But the charts were just kind of wide open, where now we're so siloed and niched. Which is unfortunate because I'm sure there are bands that have slipped through the cracks that
Yes.
I would have enjoyed hearing if they were not quote unquote country, which really isn't my thing.
Yes. Um. God. Yeah. Comparing the Eagles to like a Keith Urban poppy, that's very that's hard. That really makes you question everything. Damn. Should I reconsider all the music I try and listen to? Have you
Right.
in terms of country then and not being poppy, I actually got into it because of the Barstool controversy. I'd never listened to a single thing
Okay.
before, but you ever tried Zach Bryan? He's actually really good.
I haven't. Not very much at all. No, my country knowledge is, I mean, like Johnny Cash. We're talking,
Oh,
We're
I love
talking,
Johnny Cash.
yeah, Chris Christopherson, Waylon
Right.
Jennings, Willie Nelson. That's my
So that's
Hank Williams Jr. Yeah,
me too. Me too. That's why when you say Keith Urban, I'm like, I can't do it.
yeah, yeah.
It's not
Well,
quite Waylon Jennings, but
yeah, I think she likes him for other reasons basides his musical ability.
oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
It's the Australian accent, obviously.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Great. Do you have any other questions for me?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay.
But I just really appreciate you having me on because, like I said, I've been harassing you for a while.
Oh, I appreciate you getting up at 6 a.m. your time to do this.
No,
Very much so. And I want to thank you, obviously, and I want to thank the Minifan Network. I want to thank Kirk and Menners, and I hope you make it through your Menners weekend in
oh
one
yeah,
piece.
yeah. We'll see how tonight goes. Yep.
All right. And thank you, everybody, for listening, and we'll see you soon. Have a great weekend.